All right, everybody, and welcome back to Agent Investor. Agent Investor, as you all know, is the only brand that helps agents get off the real estate roller coaster by investing in real estate. Living, investing will make you wealthy. And all of the principles that we practice, that we preach, that we teach, that we help people implement are things that any agent can do. In fact, they're things that all agents can do much, much easier than the average person. Agents have all of the advantages over the typical average Joe trying to invest in real estate. Real estate agents are already good at finding deals. They already have contacts in the industry. They know how to sell properties. They know how to negotiate, and the list goes kind of on and on and on. And as we're kind of shooting some of the last episodes of 2023, it's a good time to start talking about 2024. And today's session, we're going to talk about the top 10 things to do for the end of the year, end of 2023, to make sure to ensure that you have a great 2024. We just wrapped up another successful agent investor event, by the way, last week. We are now hosting events in 2 cities in New England per month. We had our first session in Springfield, Mass, and we had our second session in Boston, Mass. They were both well attended. I want to thank everybody for showing up and for taking action. One of the things that I mentioned so many times at the event is there's such a big difference between people that talk about wanting to do something and those that actually take action. One of the best things that you can do if you are not 100% ready to start investing in real estate today is just to start building your foundational educational, your foundation of your education to invest in real estate. And one of the best ways, the easiest ways to take action on that is to attend one of our in-person events. All of our in-person events are free. You can register for any of them at www.agentinvestorevent.com. And like I mentioned, each and every month, we are going to be hosting them in 2 different geographic areas in New England. Now, for those of you who live in New England, there's absolutely no reason that you can't get out to either of these events. And for those of you who are not in New England, we had somebody from Charlotte, North Carolina fly in just the other day to our event. Some of the best events I've ever gone to are events that I have to travel to via plane. I know it's a big commitment. I know it costs you a few $100 to get on a flight. But it's well worth it. You have no charge for the event, so you've got no reason to be able to come spend a couple $100, spend $400 in a few hours getting there. And I promise you that you'll get much more out of an event being there in person than just kind of listening on the internet. So today, again, we're going to talk about the top 10 things that you should be doing or thinking about doing for the year end so that you can plan to have a great 2024. As I'm recording this, it's November 21st, 2023. This year is pretty much over. I mean, every dollar of revenue that agents and investors are going to generate in this year has already come from efforts that they've already exerted, either in this year or last year. And the income, like everything we do kind of from here on out, is really going to start to impact your 2024. If you go out and find a deal today, you're not going to make money on it until 2024. You get a seller appointment, you're not going to make money on it until 2024. Most of our activities that we're going to be doing from here on out are going to be impacting our 2024. And this is the perfect time of year to start thinking about how we're going to have the best 2024 that we can. This is also the time of year that, in general, real estate agents have a little bit of downtime, right? We run around, we have the spring market, then, people take a little bit of a break in the summer, then they head back out in the fall, they're buying and selling. Then around the holidays, it gets a little bit slow. I know, for a lot of us, it's not completely slow, but I know for pretty much every person in this industry, you're going to have a couple more hours to do some of these 10 things that I'm going to talk about today that you may not have had during other points during the year. In fact, today's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So for most people, between Wednesday And Monday, right? That's a pretty big gap, right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's probably not going to be a whole lot going on. There's not going to be a lot of showings, and it's not going to be a lot of listing appointments. These are the times where you have downtimes that you can plan your business. Okay. You'll have more time, quieter area, etc. All right. So I'm going to go through these 10 things in really no particular order. And these are all habits. These are all things that you should be thinking about between today, again, November 21st, 2023, and the end of the year. So the first thing I would do as you have downtime is start listening to podcasts. And you should always be listening to podcasts. I don't care, what time of year it is. But there's no better time of year to really download and digest a lot of podcast content than these breaks that we get. We get a big break over the summer during the 4th of July, and then we get another big break over the holiday season at the end of November through December, and even sometimes like the first week of January. I am definitely not necessarily advocating when it comes to podcasting that you sit in a room, lock yourself in a room, and just sit there and listen to a podcast. What I am saying is while you're on your couch, while you're relaxing, while you're doing different things towards the end of the year, rather than turn on the TV, rather than turn on, Netflix or YouTube or anything that's pretty much not going to help us achieve our goals, put a podcast on. Doesn't have to be ours. Of course, you guys can listen to all of the episodes of the Agent Investor Podcast by going to www.agentinvestorpodcast.com. If you like what we're talking about, if you're an agent who wants to achieve financial freedom, yes, I would listen to as many of those episodes as you can. You don't just have to listen to the new episodes either. So every episode that we create has a purpose. There's value there. It's a foundational, there's foundational information there that if you listen to 10, 20, 30 of our podcasts, it'll be like, you'll be basically getting 101 of real estate investing specifically for real estate agents. Like I said, it doesn't have to be our podcast. It can be somebody else's podcast, but you are going to have time between now and the end of the year, more time than ever, to listen to podcasts. And there's no easier way to get educated on the go, whether you're in your car, whether you're at a relative's house, whether you've got some time in the morning, right? You may not have appointments or a lot of appointments for the next few weeks or towards the end of the month. Download episodes of podcasts that are going to help you get from point A to point B, turning on while you're walking, turning on while you're driving, turning on while you're doing your laundry, etc. All right, point number 2, things to do as we're nearing the end of the year. Second thing that I would recommend doing at this point in the year is to set a budget for 2024. Now, for most of us, that's going to mean a personal budget. That's going to mean a business budget. Okay. And it doesn't matter whether you have, a huge budget or a small budget. You want to make sure that you're running your business like a business, and you want to make sure that you have all of your expenses projected out for the year. Now, I know that, no doubt there's going to be some ups and some downs. Maybe you spend a little bit more money on one thing or a little bit less money on another, but you should also be forecasting your revenue as well. So really, besides just a budget, putting together a P&L that you feel confident in. We're actually about to wrap ours up next Tuesday. We had an intro meeting with our leadership team today. We talked about the different, revenue line items that we have for the business, the flipping income, the rental income, the agent income. We talked about all those different things. We projected out what we think we're going to do in 2024. We have a current kind of outline of a budget. Now we need to go through it with a fine-tooth comb, make sure that we're spending money in the right areas, make sure that we're spending enough money in some areas, make sure we're not spending too much money in other areas. And I know this is just really basic 101, but I'm mentioning it because this is the time of the year to do it. If you've never created like a forecast P&L or a budget, we're going to talk a lot about how to do this at our year-end event. We're going to have that the second week of December. You guys can register again at any point at www.agentinvestorevent.com. At that event, we're going to be talking about how to set goals for the next 5 to 10 years. We're going to talk about how to set your priorities for the next upcoming quarter, Q1 2024. We're going to talk about how to create a scorecard for your business. And we're going to talk about what assets and what vehicles you should be investing in. Okay. So it's going to be a business planning and goal setting clinic. Again, you can register at any point at www.agentinvestorevent.com, which segues nicely into the third thing that I would recommend doing at this point during the year, which is to set your goals. We follow a model. If you haven't read the book Traction, we follow a model called the Entrepreneurial Operating System, which has us set 1, 3, and 10-year goals. The 10-year goal is what do you want real estate investing in your real estate business to do for you? It's really what you want your life to look like. Your business is a vehicle to improve your life, right? It's a vehicle to live the life of your dreams, whatever those dreams are. And the 10-year version of that, the 10-year version of your goal is what you literally want your day-to-day to look like. You know, how many hours a week do you want to be working? Where do you want to be working? What type of work do you want to be doing, if any? Where do you want to be living? What do you want to own? How much income do you need on a monthly basis, etc.? Then you take it down to your 3-year, right? Your 10-year is really your big vision for how you want your business to impact your life. It's the most important thing that you can do. Without knowing that, it's hard to really plan out what your day-to-day looks like. We then take it down to a 3-year, and then we take it down to a 1-year. Again, we just finished our 1-year plan for our business. We've got a pretty good idea of what we think 2024 is going to look like based on our past experience, based on what the market is doing, etc. This is a great time of the year to review and set your goals. By the way, if you've set goals a year ago or 2 years ago or 6 months ago, your goals always need to be constantly updated. There can be so many reasons for that, whether there's market changes or even personal changes. I mean, I can tell you that if you ask me what I wanted my life to look like 10 years ago today, it would have actually been different than the life that I'm living, right? If I go back to my 2013 self and what I wanted my life to look like in 2023, it's just far different. My priorities are different. I've got 4 kids now. I've just got different things going on that I couldn't have necessarily 100% planned. And I've gotten older, maybe wiser, maybe not. But my life has changed and my goals have changed, and your goals are going to change over time. Your goals are always going to be a moving target. Okay. The fifth thing that I would recommend doing, and I know this is going to sound self-serving, but I truly mean this. You guys are invited to an event, right, with all of this stuff where we're going to be covering budgeting and goal setting and all of this good stuff for free, right? We drop, somewhere between $5,000 and $6,000 on a hotel, on food for you guys. The tickets are completely free. And by the way, why do we do that? Because somebody might say, well, you've got something to sell. There's got to be a reason that you host all of these and you put up the money. Yes, of course there is. We always want to create win-win scenarios for agents, for ourselves, so that we can make more money, agents can make more money. And I'm sure most of you have heard that we have an agent partnership program where we're actively out there looking to do more deals, looking to do more flip deals, quick turn deals. And the reason that we do all of this stuff for free, the reason I have an audience, the reason I build an audience, I have a podcast, I have a Facebook group, is because I want agents to think about me when it comes to fixing and flipping homes. When an agent goes on a listing appointment and the seller wants a cash offer, I want to be brought in on that deal. But by the way, it has to be a win-win. So we have our agent partnership program where every single time that a real estate agent brings us a deal, we will put up the money for that deal. We will manage the construction of that deal, and then we'll split the profits 50-50. We closed out 2 deals last week, one in Quincy on 15 Merriam. And by the way, I know that, I have listeners all over the U.S. We will do deals anywhere in the U.S. I like New England deals a little bit better, but 15 Merriam Ave in Quincy, Massachusetts, that was a $26,000, $52,000 profit. 26 went to us, 26 went to the agent. And then we did another deal in Middleton, Mass, where the profit was a little bit higher. The profit was actually $84,000. Divide that by 2, that was $42,000 to us, $42,000 to that other agent. When we talk about investing, right? Everybody wants to do stuff that's passive income, myself included. It doesn't get much more passive than you referring us a fix and flip deal. Because all you have to do is put us in touch with the seller, have us meet, have us negotiate with the seller. We'll put up the money. You need no money. We'll do all the work, and you get a check at the end. So I do recommend coming to our events. I promote the events and I host them for free to get an audience, to get more deals, to raise capital for my business, to raise capital for the apartment deals that we have. But we provide tremendous value. In fact, I was actually on the phone with somebody yesterday, and I put a sheet. I always put sheets on the table at all the events, and it's a sheet to kind of like sign up that you want more information about our Inner Circle program. And she said to me, she said, as soon as I sat down, I was very worried that the entire event was going to be you pitching, a coaching program or a system or whatever. And she said, I was surprised that, you didn't spend almost any time on that, which is what we do, right? And we do that. Again, this is a self-serving thing, right? We want people to get value when they come. We want people to feel good when they leave. We want to be the first person that an agent thinks about if they're interested in investing in one of our syndications, or they're interested if they have a deal, a flip deal that we might be able to work on with them. But at the events, right, you're not only just going to see other agents, right? You're going to see other agents that are doing the stuff that you might already be doing. So you'll, expand your circle, or you might meet agents who are above where you're at today, maybe where you want to be, and you're going to be able to see that in person. There's something to be said for being in person, making the connections, networking, getting to know other people that have followed this agent investor model and have had, a high level of success. It's interesting though. I did get asked a question, and somebody said to me, well, what's your success rate with helping, real estate agents invest in real estate? And I had to pause for a second, because everybody who ever asked me a question is going to get an honest answer. And the honest answer was, we have helped almost every single person who has put in the effort. We have not been able to help anybody who didn't put in the effort. And I know that's just such a simple statement, but in reality, there's a lot of people who say they want to invest in real estate and then they don't take action. And I'm challenging everybody who's listening to this right now. If you haven't taken action yet, or you're at a place in your business where you've done a couple of deals and you want to scale, and you know what we've done, we fixed and flipped over 1,000 homes, built an over 300 unit rental property portfolio, built a 400, real estate agent count real estate brokerage based on investing in real estate. Come to our event, get to know us. It'll be a positive experience. And you can do that at www.agentinvestorevent.com. Okay, the fifth thing is creating a weekly scorecard that you look at every week. This is Tuesday. Every Tuesday at 6 a.m., myself and my leadership team, we review our scorecard. We look at our numbers each and every week that we need to hit in order to make sure that we're on track for that 1-year plan, that 1-year goal, right? So, for example, I'm just going to give you guys some of the numbers that are my numbers, just so you can get an idea of what this might look like. By the way, your scorecard that you create, that you look at, is going to be different than mine, or it's not going to be exactly the same, I should say, depending on what you're trying to do. So one of my scorecard numbers is how many seller appointments did we get for the week? And I know in order for me to hit my goals, I need to go on 80 plus seller appointments per week, right? That includes agent referrals, right, in for the agent investor partnership program. Another one is we need to sign at least 2 investment deals per week, right? Another one that we look at is how many listings did we sign per week? Based on the number of appointments we got. We need to sign 3 to 4 listings per week based on those seller appointments that we got. So I'm giving you some high level numbers. Again, at this event that we have coming up in December, it's going to be 2 locations, by the way. One is going to be in Providence, Rhode Island, and one's going to be in Woburn, Mass. Okay, so depending on where you live in New England, those are going to be 2 totally different geographic locations. whatever is convenient for you, www.agentinvestorevent.com. And we're going to be talking about how to create a scorecard that you look at every single week that you measure your success against. Those numbers that I gave you are just some example numbers that our company looks at. We know if 3 weeks in a row I haven't hit 80 appointments, then there's going to be a problem. We know that if we haven't signed 2 new acquisition deals per week, there's going to be a problem. We want to know that. And I've made this mistake of saying, yeah, well, I'll look at my numbers on a quarterly basis or every 6 months or periodically. It's too late. Like, we need to know what behavior we might need to change that week, right? And we look at that every single week. It's a boring meeting. It's not an exciting meeting. We all input our numbers. We all review our numbers together. We talk about any changes that might need to be made. And most of the time, we don't make any changes because typically we have a pretty good plan. But we look at that every single week. All right, step number 6. Step number 6 of what I would recommend doing towards the end of the year. I would write out how you've been spending your time. Maybe this week, Thanksgiving week, might not be the best week to do this, but figure out a week that you're working full time and write down on an hourly basis how you spent your time. How you spend your time dictates how much money you're going to make. And the most successful people from a financial perspective in the world, they place a very high emphasis and are very intentional on how they spend their time. If you're listening to this, you probably know this, but my question to you, if you are listening to this and you do know this, are you treating your time the same way? Are you auditing your time? Do you have a mentor that you can send that sheet to, right? That's another huge component of things that you can do during the end of the year to make sure you have a great 2024. Go out and find a coach. Go out and find a mentor. Go out and find somebody who is where you want to be 3, 5, 10 years into the future. Get to know them, get around them more. They say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with. It's absolutely true. So write out how you spent your time. Did you spend your time the right way? And, be hard on yourself, but be accepting that you can make changes, right? Typically, anytime that you write out how you spend your time, it can be a little frustrating because a lot of times even just self-auditing, you'll know that, I could have done things a little bit better. Okay, great. Well, every day that you wake up, you get an opportunity to improve, right? But for the most part, most people don't even look at how they're spending their time. So they just kind of are under the guise. They fool themselves that they're spending time the right way. They never look at how they're spending their time. And then all of a sudden one day they haven't achieved their goals. All right. So this is another thing. And by the way, all of these things that I'm talking about, these are great things to do towards the end of the year, right? Towards the end of the year, you have more time to listen to a podcast. You have more time to do a budget. You're going to be sitting probably somewhere in a house, dead time during the holidays. You're going to have time to think about your goals. You're going to have time to register for an event. You're going to have time to think about your scorecard. You're going to have time to write out what you've been doing. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can even think, well, this week was a slow week. How did I spend the 40 hours last week? Okay. So another component to this is Pareto's principle, or what we call the 80-20 rule. This is a fact. This is a scientific fact in nature that 20% of things that you do produce 80% of the results. Don't know why this rule exists. It is a scientific rule. It's not something that I made up. Again, I'm sure some of you have already heard about this rule, but 80-20 rule, again, make sure that, it says that 20% of your efforts produce 80% of the results, and all opposite of that, 80% of your efforts produce 20% of your results. What does this mean from a business perspective? I think it's pretty obvious. We need to know what the 20% of our efforts are giving us the 80% of the results. We have to carve out more time to do more of those things. Okay. So I'll give you guys an example, right? I know for me, and I'm going to give you a simple example. I know for me, when I speak in front of a group of agents, I always raise more money. I always get more deals. I always recruit more agents to my brokerage. Every time I do that, I get those results. So knowing that, and I'm just giving you an example of how I took action on this, I added another event per month to my arsenal. I don't necessarily want to do 2 events per month. Like, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to set up. It's tiring to go there, get content, present content, answer questions, right? Be the center of attention, which I don't love being. But I added that because I know that the more agents I get in front of, the more money I'm going to raise, the more deals I'm going to do, the more agents that are going to join our brokerage or our inner circle. So I added more to it. What I want you all to do towards the end of this year, doesn't have to be today, but it can be next week, it could be the week after that, is I want you to think about like how you made your money in 2023 and how did you do that? You know, are you somebody who, just as an example, did you sell 20 houses last year and 19 of them came from open houses? And I'm making an exaggerated example, but if you know that you sold 20 houses last year and 19 of them came from open houses, geez, that tells you what you need to be doing more of, right? I can tell you another one of my 80-20s, right? Just to give you the last example before I move on. I know that some of our most profitable deals in 2023 came from agents. Why do you guys think, if you've been following me on Facebook or listening to our podcast, why do you think that I've been talking so much about our agent partnership program? Yeah, I want to help you guys. I want to help you guys earn passive income, but it aligns with my goals. So I'm going to spend more time talking about our agent partnership program because it's giving me more results. Okay. So the next thing, reflect on your best and worst. Okay. Do more of the best and less of the worst. It's a little different than the 80-20 rule. I want you guys to think every single year, me and my partner, we sit down at the end of the year and we actually list our 10 best and 10 worst from that year. And we've been doing this, I think, since 2011. And so we have they're kind of funny, some of them to look back at. Some of the stuff we thought was the best one year, some of the stuff that we thought was the worst that year. They all kind of have common themes, and they allow us to think like, why did this bad thing happen? Like, why did, XYZ problem occur? How can we fix that? Or why did this like really, really good thing happen to us? And how can we do more of that? Okay. Next thing, number 9, write down all of the big ticket things that you think will move the needle in your business in Q1 2024. All of those big ideas you have, if I turn my camera around right now, you would see a bunch of ideas. They're all over my wall. Things that I know. I mean, all of the ideas I get, they have some purpose. They will move the needle in my business somewhat. But the mistake that most entrepreneurs make, myself including, and I still do this, is we don't prioritize what are the top 4 to 6 that we should be working on. Okay. Why that's important is because if we have 50 things that we're trying to accomplish in a quarter and we only can do 5, then if we're not diligent about picking the top 5, we're going to do 5 at random. Sometimes our brain naturally will go to doing the stuff that's the easiest first, right? So I give this example on a Facebook post the other day, and I said, somebody asked me, do I need a website? And I said, probably at some point, but where are you at today? Is it one of your top 5 or 6 things? So we sat down, we talked, we listed out most of their problems. We listed out things they could do to solve those problems. And I said, is getting a website going to fix any of those problems? They said, no. I said, okay, great. So you getting a website is not a Q1 2024 task. It might be a Q2, might be a Q3, might be a Q4, maybe it's a 2025. So what you want to do with all this stuff is you want to keep a spreadsheet or, a Google sheet or whatever. List out all these great ideas you have. They're all great ideas. And then when you're planning for the upcoming quarter, and you can do this at the end of the year so well because you guys have time, organize them from most important to least important and pick 4 to 6, right? Do those 4 to 6 in Q1 2024. If for whatever reason you blast through the top 6, we'll go back to your list again, add another couple, and keep prioritizing. Prioritizing how you spend your time is one of the most important things you can do, probably the most important thing you can do. And there's no better time of year where you don't have as much. This is the beauty of the end of the year. There's not as much, stuff going on. I mean, I'm looking, I just pulled up my email right now as I'm recording this. I barely have any emails today, right? It's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. People are already traveling. They're already out. They're already doing things. What does that mean for me? Well, I've got 2 options. Either I can just sit back, relax, do nothing, and say, oh, I don't have a lot of work today. Or I can spend my time and plan out my 2024 and make sure that we have the best year ever. Okay. Last thing I'm going to say about this, and this is the last thing I would do right now. Top 10 thing for all agent investors to really think about is I want you guys to really commit or not to commit to being an investor in 2024. Now, I know that it's really, really easy to say. I've never met an agent that told me that they were interested in investing that ever told me that they're not ready to start now. Like, I'm not ready to start in 2024. 2024 is going to be my year. But a lot of times it doesn't happen because the words and then the actions associated with the words, they don't match up. Like, it's one thing to say that you're interested in investing. It's another thing to take action. There are many ways to take action, even if you're not ready to buy a property tomorrow. And we teach and train on this stuff like all the time. But I said this at the event last week, and I'm going to say it again because it's really important. The topic for the event for last week was 5 years to become a millionaire. And I told everybody, you don't just have to cross the 7-figure line in 5 years. You can do more than $1 million. But if you put your mind to it, 5 years to become a millionaire as a real estate agent investor is not a complicated thing to do. But as uncomplicated as it is, you will never, ever become a millionaire by accident, ever. You will not build up $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 of passive income every year by accident. Will not happen. So there is nothing wrong with saying, hey, I'm not going to invest in 2024. I like what Tom and his team say. I like the idea of agent investor, but I'm not going to do it in 2024. There's nothing wrong with that. There's also nothing wrong with saying, hey, this is going to be the year that I do it. But, and this is probably the biggest kind of cautionary tale I could ever, say, scream at the top of my lungs. The worst thing to do is to say that you're interested and then not take the action and not prioritize what needs to be done. For most people, the first step is to get educated, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. You don't have a foundation. For most people that are listening to this, what you know is, I know that investing can give me the life I dream of, I deserve, that I want for myself, for my family, for people that I know. So you know that can happen, but you don't know what your first steps are. So your first steps are to get educated. And there's 2 things that you can do now to start to get educated. Number 1, you can listen to all those podcast episodes. Hey, listen, if somebody told me you've got to listen to your own podcast episodes, the last 20 episodes, would I be excited to do it? No. Am I the most exciting speaker you're ever going to meet? No. Am I going to spend time pumping you up during an episode? No. But I am going to give you what you need from an educational base. So with that being said, there is no reason why you can't listen to 2 or 3 or 4 podcast episodes per week, from now until the beginning of the year. Like, you can't tell me that you don't have the time. And the reason you can't tell me that is because you're already doing things that would allow you to listen to the podcast anywhere. Driving, walking, going to the gym, doing your laundry, cleaning your house, watching TV, right? Cut all those things out. Listen to 1 to 2 hours a day and commit to coming to the next event, which you can do at www.agentinvestorevent.com. Getting around people. The average of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with. Everyone here has heard it, but what happens with a lot of real estate agents that want to invest is that they don't take action around getting around other people who are investing. Guys, listen, you come to my event, you're going to like me. You're going to want to be around me more. You're going to want to be around my team more. Like, we're very friendly. We're easy to get along with. Commit to doing that, right? And then from there, once you've gotten your educational base, this is kind of step 2. Once you've gotten your educational base, once you've started coming to events, at that point, you want to start thinking about some of the stuff that we're going to be teaching on the 2024 Goal Setting and Business Planning Clinic. And we'll go into so much detail at that event on exactly how to set the right goals, how to plan your business, and how to do a lot of the things that we talked about today. You absolutely can do this. There's no reason, if you're listening to this right now, there's no reason why, a pizza delivery boy from Revere like myself, with no money, no connections, no anything, can fix and flip over 1,000 houses, build a 400 agent, real estate brokerage, be building apartment deals, syndicating deals, building a 300 unit rental property. Like, all of this stuff, anybody can do it. Why can anybody do it? Because I've done it. Like, I know anyone can do it, but you have to make that commitment. It has to be more than something that you're just thinking about doing. It has to be something that you guys want to do, spend time doing, and that you say, hey, I'm going to start taking steps. And again, the first step is to get educated. Meet us in person at www.agentinvestorevent.com. I hope that you guys take action on these top 10 things to do before the end of the year. I'll go into much more detail at the event in person in just, 3 to 4 weeks from today. And I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. Hope you guys get to enjoy some time off. By the way, I'm not saying should state. I'm not saying ignore your family and lock yourself in a room and just listen to podcasts all day long. I am saying do a little bit of it. Wake up a little bit earlier. Do it before you go to bed. Do it while you walk. Make it easy for yourself, but commit to doing it. All right, guys. I hope that you guys got value out of this episode. Of course, we'll be back next week with something else that'll add value to your business. If you are listening and you ever want to recommend an episode or recommend even an event, topic that we have coming up, please feel free to reach out to me. The easiest way to reach out always is to find me on Facebook. And my name on Facebook is Tommy Caffarella, Tommy. That's what my friends call me. That's what I prefer to be called. Look me up, send me a DM. Happy to help anybody as much as I can. And keep sending me those deals. Get us off-market deals. Get us opportunities to meet with sellers. We will make offers on any property as long as it's not currently on the MLS. All right, guys. Thank you again. I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy.